Hello, my name is Mia. Have you ever felt like you weren't welcome somewhere? Despite my brother's hurtful words, his wife, sitting next to him, smiled out of the corner of her eye, amused by my shocked expression. Looking at our father, the parent I had shared a home with for so many years, he commented sadly, "Living with your brother and his wife, who graduated from a prestigious academy and now works for a leading corporation, seems preferable to having you here, Mia." "You never leave," he stated calmly. My father, sister-in-law, and brother seemed oblivious to the financial and labor contributions I had made to our family. Though it pained me, I agreed to leave, telling them not to expect any more help, and began packing my things. My sister-in-law watched me, sarcastically commenting with a smug smile, "Giving up so easily, Mia?" But the future holds uncertainties for everyone. Ignoring it could lead to future complications. I have built a successful online business. My path to this point was unexpected. During my academic years, I envisioned a typical job at a standard company, but everything changed in my sophomore year. My father fell ill and required daily care. My mother was not skilled at housework, so we hired help, but they could not be present constantly, requiring my mother to occasionally step in. She would often neglect my father's needs, telling him to wait. I would always step in to help him. Witnessing this made me anxious about the future. Once I started my career, who would take care of my father? I could not rely solely on my mother. So I explored ways to earn income from home. I studied digital commerce during my academic years, applying my knowledge of economics. I collaborated with friends who were experienced in business and finance, and later with others who were skilled in technology. This led to the creation of our online venture. We maintained a well-equipped workspace for employees who had difficulty concentrating at home or for onboarding new hires, but I rarely visited. My primary work environment was my home, which allowed me to be with my father. One day, my father asked if I had sacrificed a conventional career for him or if finding one after graduation had been challenging. This touched me, but I explained that I had been running my online business since my college days. It was thriving and I could work remotely without any problems. My father expressed his pride and gratitude for my efforts, saying that I had become a responsible adult, which meant a lot to me. I was not the only child responsible for our father's care. I have an older brother named Harry, who is 2 years older than me. Harry tends to be self-centered and rarely considers others. He has always been exceptionally intelligent and excelled academically. After graduating from an elite university, he easily landed a position at a prestigious corporation. We were all surprised and delighted to see him get a job. We tried to reach out and congratulate him, but his response was unexpected. He announced that he was starting a new life in the big city and had no plans to return home. He wanted us to believe that he was independent and successful, and then abruptly ended the call. From that day on, we lost all contact with Harry. He cut off all communication, ignoring our calls and messages. Despite our father's financial support throughout his higher education and independent life, Harry never showed us gratitude and distanced himself from both of us. My father and I were shocked and disappointed by his behavior. We began to suspect that our mother was secretly communicating with Harry, but even as his father's health deteriorated and he began to require daily care, Harry's complete silence demonstrated his lack of concern for his family obligations. Then, out of the blue, we received news from Mom. Harry called me out of the blue, announcing his engagement and asking for an $80,000 wedding gift. Mom shared this with Dad and me, seeming a bit concerned about our financial situation. Mom was mostly home, except for her part-time job 3 days a week. She usually spent her earnings on lunches and shopping with acquaintances, resulting in minimal savings. I was surprised that Mom would want to give Harry such a substantial amount, especially considering her prolonged absence. Dad initially remained calm, but then became visibly angry. Why should we give him all this money when he hasn't even spoken to us since he left home? He was upset with Mom, who looked distressed and sought my reassurance with a look. Mom tried to explain, "But think about it, Harry is getting married. I want him to have a good life and maybe even give us grandchildren. That's what parents want. Please understand," she pleaded quietly. The main reason I didn't pursue a conventional career was because of Mom. Her words, therefore, were painful. Dad also expressed his displeasure with Mom. Mia stays home to take care of me because you didn't offer enough help. I supported Harry extensively, but he never expressed gratitude. How can you ask for such a meaningful gift from him? That day, heated arguments broke out between Mom and Dad. I listened from the next room, worried about Dad's well-being. Mom had always favored my brother and praised his achievements, but she couldn't understand why I stayed home to take care of Dad. This saddened me deeply. After Mom left for dinner, Dad said to me, "Mia, thank you for always being there for me." "It's okay, Dad. I've known for a long time that Mom favors Harry. I'm used to it. I know I asked a lot of you. I wish I could do more to help you. Daughter, you have done so much for me. You have supported my education and always encouraged me. Without you, I might not have started my online business." My father's smile offered some comfort, but I could not understand why my mother, who had such a loving father, would act so selfishly, and why my brother, who had not contacted us for years, would suddenly ask for such an expensive wedding gift. However, the most devastating event occurred shortly after. One morning, I discovered that my father was unresponsive. I immediately called for medical assistance, but it was too late. He had passed away. Many people had attended his wake to express their condolences, demonstrating his popularity. Typically, the spouse would organize the funeral, but my mother claimed to be too busy and delegated all the responsibilities to me. She was constantly on the phone, seemingly more concerned about him than about my father's death. I felt resentful and helpless. I focused on organizing a proper farewell for my father. Then, a surprising event unfolded. My brother arrived at the wake with a flamboyantly dressed woman. Her clothes were casual, inappropriate for the occasion. Everyone was surprised, but Mother welcomed him with a smile. "It's good that you're here, Harry. Now your father's inheritance will be ours," Mother declared boldly. The atmosphere in the room changed dramatically after Mother's abrupt statement. Everyone was shocked and perplexed. "Frankly, I don't think Mia should expect any inheritance. She stayed home and took care of her father," Harry said loudly with a hint of sarcasm. I was taken aback and sighed heavily. He must have been aware of our family situation and father's health through Mother, but Mother seemed oblivious to the fact that I had contributed significantly to our family finances and the issue of any inheritance from Father, who had needed care. Father held a good position, but making such comments at a wake was disrespectful. The service seemed somber and tense. "Shall we leave now, Harry?" "Well, we'll get the inheritance anyway," Mom said, tugging on his arm. The moment I saw the woman with my brother, I recognized her as his wife. She exuded an aura similar to Harry's, and I figured she must have a compatible personality to marry him. I wish they would leave soon. Surprisingly, even Mom seemed to agree with them. "Shall we go get sushi?" she suggested, and the three of them left. Other relatives were also stunned. Some expressed shock, but I suggested, "Let's keep our composure for Dad's sake." I suppressed my irritation and continued with the service. When I returned home, I found a cluttered dining table with 3 sushi boxes, probably ordered for delivery. From the living room, I heard voices and laughter. Mom, Harry, and his wife Lorena were enjoying drinks. "Hey, you're late, Mia. Can you fix some snacks and get more drinks?" my brother asked. I was appalled by their insensitivity, particularly during their father's wake. They seemed oblivious to the inappropriateness of their behavior, despite the shocked expressions of other relatives. Mother, who should have corrected them, was joining in their laughter, reinforcing my decision to stay. I wondered if they would even bother to hold a proper wake if I wasn't there. So I informed them, "There is no inheritance for you." I refused to get any more drinks or snacks for them. Harry, now inebriated, became agitated. "What do you mean, Mia? You've always been at home causing trouble for Father. It is only fair that we use your assets." Considering Harry's dependence on his father for all his college expenses, I could not understand his sense of entitlement to his father's assets. It frustrated me to see him act as if he owed nothing to his father. "Isn't this resident's father?" Harry asked. "As the oldest son, it should belong to me. Why is Mia, who does nothing all day, living here?" Mother and Harry seemed to agree. The affection Mother had once felt for me was gone. "This is my house," Harry stated firmly. "I want Mia out." His wife seemed indifferent to this. Mother then said, I feel more comfortable living with my son and his wife, who have achieved success in life, than with you, Mia. They failed to acknowledge my significant contributions to the household. I felt dejected and disappointed. I sighed and decided to speak. I am leaving. Please don't ask me for anything else. As I was packing my things in my room, I heard my sister-in-law mocking me. She's really poor, don't you think? Everyone laughed at me, but I just smiled at Mary in my mind. Yes, I may seem the most unfortunate right now, but there's something they don't know. This house has been legally mine since my father was alive. He entrusted it to me. Although my mother still resided here and could claim to have spent most of her life here, legally, the house was mine. However, witnessing her coldness during my father's wake made me reconsider my plans for the house. I was tired of our relationship and saw her presence as a burden. Living alone in this big house would be isolating, and the upkeep would be demanding. So I decided to put it up for sale. Watching my mother and my brother's family rejoice in my supposed misfortune, oblivious to my decision, filled me with pity for them. Their expectation of an inheritance from their father, it seemed absurd to me. Before my mother's health declined, she had a steady income, but when she fell ill, she could no longer work. She used her savings to hire daily care. She spent her savings on daily expenses, and even when my father's health deteriorated and he needed more care, my mother continued her usual spending habits, causing her savings to dwindle. When I realized that my father's savings were depleted, I started contributing $4,000 a month to help with the household expenses. My mother took care of the housework, but she had no money management skills. When shopping, my mother would often make impulsive purchases of expensive items, even if they were not necessary. She did not pay attention to promotions or budgets. She used her earnings from her part-time job for her leisure and entertainment activities. She also withdrew more money than was needed for daily expenses for her personal use. My father felt guilty about this. In the end, the money he had saved was spent by my mother. As I prepared to leave home, I withdrew all the funds I had been providing for household expenses. I could not bear to let my mother continue to use them. The next day, an unexpected event occurred. "Did you take the household funds, Mia?" Mother's voice came over the phone on a quiet morning. She sounded surprised and somewhat upset. "Mom, what household funds? Dad's savings? They were all gone when I checked. Have you forgotten that you spent them all?" I left the ledger on the table. It shows how you consistently withdrew money from Dad's savings. Dad was also aware of this. After your savings were depleted, I was the one who contributed $4,000 every month to support the household. I heard Mother moving quickly, probably looking for the ledger I had mentioned. Then I heard the living room door open. "Mom, what's going on? Shouldn't there be an inheritance after Dad passed away? Did you spend it all?" My brother sounded angry and disappointed. His wife's voice echoed in the background. "I can't believe this, Mom. You actually called us back home expecting us to support you financially? That's incredibly unfair." "No, that's not what I meant." It was clear that Mom had called them back because of the inheritance. Hearing this, I knew they would no longer trust her. "We gave up our stable jobs to come here waiting for Dad's inheritance. How are we going to live now?" "What, Harry? I didn't know you had made such a big decision." This was news to me, too. My brother had a good position, but I wasn't particularly concerned about their decision, since it didn't directly affect me. "What about the $2,700 you've been getting every month?" my brother asked Mom. "You kept saying Mia wasn't employed, right?" Mom suddenly looked at me with shock and guilt. "What, Mia? What's going on?" she asked. I smiled slightly and said, "You should explore remote employment opportunities these days. You can have a job without leaving your home." I had never revealed my successful online business to them. I knew that if they knew, they would become even more dependent on me. Worse, they might interfere with my business. "Please come back. Let's be a family again." Mom's voice was soft, as if she hadn't blamed me for anything, but I had no intention of going back. "Mom, you just want to depend on me for finances, right? And as for the house, while Dad was alive, I took over the property because of taxes. Now it belongs to me. I don't want to live there anymore, so I asked my Aunt Lena, who runs a real estate agency, to sell it. Dad was very upset about the events at Dad's funeral, so if my brother and his family stayed there, he would evict them. Losing our house was something I never imagined. Mom sounded shocked, and I could hear my brother's voice on the phone asking, "What's going on?" Feeling too overwhelmed to answer my brother's question, I decided to confide everything to my cousin. He promised to take care of everything and explain the situation to Mom and my brother's family. So I put my trust in him. Goodbye. I am cutting ties with you and Mom. I will not be using this phone anymore. Goodbye. With that, I ended the call. I imagined their surprise and felt a fleeting sadness. It would be difficult for them to locate me. I had plans to move abroad, a dream I had never shared, not even with Dad. I had always wanted to live in a warm, tropical nation with a rich and diverse culture. When Mom and my brother's family demanded that I leave home after Dad's death, I saw it as the perfect opportunity to fulfill my dream. After my forced departure from home, I immediately began packing my things and looking for a place to live abroad. I wanted a quiet location near the coast, so I focused on finding the right place. I am now living alone in a temporary rental apartment near the city center, with excellent public transport links, which is ideal for preparing for my move abroad. With my brother, his wife and mother all preoccupied with finding a new place to live after the eviction, they probably didn't have time to think about me. By the time I learned that they were living in cramped accommodations, taking part-time jobs to survive, I was already settling into my new life abroad. I cut all ties with them and avoided any involvement. I have no intention of seeing them again, or talking to them, or anything. After everything and their lack of respect, I prefer to keep my distance and live my life without them, respecting my father's memory. What did you think of Mia's story? Would you have done the same as her? Tell me in the comments. If you liked this story, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel for more engaging stories.